Hello everybody and welcome back to Out of Body. My name is Sabrina, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a topic that a lot of you guys voted for. I put a poll up on my community tab in YouTube and several of you voted. So today's video is going to be over the topic that won the poll, which was, do our loved ones look after us after they pass on? So if you have been a member of this channel for a while now, you probably don't necessarily question whether or not there is life after death. So I'm not really going to go into like, do our loved ones actually live on? For the sake of this video, we're going to assume that they do live on and that they do move on after death. However, when they do they sometimes come back and watch over us or give us guidance? And are there signs that we can tell that they're around? So to start this video, I'm just going to ask you guys a couple of questions. And one of those is, have you ever had a dream about a loved one who has passed away? And the other question is, after a loved one has passed on, have you ever experienced hearing their voice or smelling their scent or something to that effect, and it's just unexplainable? Well, if you have experienced these things, you're not alone. A lot of people do. And a lot of people swear that it is actually the presence of their loved ones coming back. Now, many psychic mediums have said that our loved ones, after they pass, do actually linger around us in our aura. They may not be fully present at all times, but they kind of linger around us, if that makes sense. Some believe that they can kind of come and go, and others believe that they can actually stay around your energy, around your aura until you actually die. And still others say that they only come back from time to time just to kind of check on us and see what we're up to and to give us guidance if we need that at the time. Now, with that being said, there is a little bit of a confusion, I think, with regards to loved ones after they pass on and if they come back to visit. I think a lot of people assume that if a spirit is on Earth at all, that it's earthbound, and that's kind of a myth in my opinion. Just because a spirit comes back to Earth to visit doesn't mean that they're stuck. And it also does not mean that they have not already crossed over. They may have already crossed over or gone to heaven or whatever it is that you believe in, and they just are allowed to come back and visit as needed. Now, one thing I have heard before, actually a couple of times before, is that some people are a little bit afraid of trying to communicate with their passed on loved ones, or maybe thinking about them too much, as they don't want to hinder them crossing over. Like, some people believe that if they hold on to them too tightly that they'll actually keep them from crossing over. I don't really think that's true. I don't really think that can happen. That's just my opinion, but from what I've heard other people, other mediums talk about, it's really nothing to worry about. And it's really not something for you to worry about as to whether or not they cross over. That's everybody's personal journey after they die. If one of your loved ones is still lingering around you, I feel like it's because they want to, not necessarily because you're pulling them there. So what I'm going to go into next is different signs and different things that can happen around you when a loved one that has passed on is around you. So one of the more common ones I feel like is just having something happen throughout your day, or you see something or you hear something and it just automatically makes you think of that person, and that person just pops into your mind randomly. That's one of the more common ones that could mean that your loved one is nearby. Now, some of these that are more visual might scare people. So more than likely your loved one is not going to do some of these unless you're really open to it. Like, if you scare easily, I mean, obviously your past loved one is not going to want to scare you. So if you're having scary things going on in your home, it might not be them, it might be, you know, an earthbound spirit. But with that being said, something that can indicate that one of your loved ones is nearby is flickering lights. I know I've had this a time or two happen. And sometimes I feel like it's my spirit guides actually trying to get my attention, and then other times I felt like it could have been a loved one that passed away. Another one that's kind of the opposite is actually seeing lights in your peripheral vision, like seeing almost like a angel light or something in your peripheral vision, like, and there's no window next to you, there's no light right over there, but all of a sudden you just see these like lights and you look and there's nothing there. I actually had that one happen after one of my internet friends passed away. I kind of saw this, like, in my peripheral vision, a light and almost like a lighted figure in my peripheral vision, and when I looked it was gone. Animals and certain insects can also be an indicator that your loved one's nearby. One of the most common ones is a cardinal. I know a lot of people believe that if you see a red cardinal that it means that one of your loved ones has sent it to you or is nearby or is thinking of you. Butterflies are another one, and objects can also be another one. Basically apports, like I talked about in a previous video a couple weeks ago. Anything from feathers to coins to rocks to a certain flower that reminds you of your loved one that just somehow ends up in your path. That could also be a sign. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, dreams is also a very big one. Lots of people have dreams about their past loved ones. I'm one of those random people that like never dreams about a past loved one. Even though I have a lot of intuitive dreams, I can't really say that I've dreamed about someone who's passed away. I don't know. Smell is another one. Like, say if you had a relative or a friend who passed away and they smoked and you smell like the cigarette smoke, or if, you know, you had a great aunt who wore a particular type of perfume and you smell her perfume randomly. I know I've had that happen. I've smelled perfume randomly, like in my apartment. I don't even wear perfume most of the time, and I'll just be randomly sitting there and all of a sudden I'll get like a whiff of perfume, and I'm like, now some people have said that their loved ones will move objects around their house. This is another one that I feel like is a thin line between being a loved one and possibly just being like a poltergeist or something. If you've got stuff moving around in your house, it could be that. It's just, you have to use your own intuition, and if you feel like it's your loved one, then it could be. Now, music and sounds are another way. I've heard my name called several times. Like, I can't even count how many times I've heard my name called and I look and nobody's there. I couldn't really pinpoint whose voice it was, so sometimes I feel like it could have just been like an angel or a spirit guide, or it could have been a loved one. Or through music. I know that music is a big one for me and my family, especially with my grandfather. He's spoken to us through music many times. So if you feel like you hear a song, or you hear your loved one's favorite song on the radio randomly and it's like, oh, that's weird that popped up, it may not be a coincidence. It may actually be them trying to comfort you and let you know that they're around. Now, there are some physical signs, such as like a physical sensation. I know for me, a lot of times when I can feel a presence of a spirit, I get a physical sensation. Like I get like this tingling on like the right side of my head, or I'll feel it. Sometimes I'll feel like a tingling in my, like my right thigh or something, like almost like somebody just put their hand on my leg or something, or just like an overall tingling sensation, like somebody's embracing me. I've definitely felt that a lot of times. I mostly feel that when I'm already trying to communicate with someone or with my spirit guides or something like that, and I'm like really trying to communicate with them and I'm talking to them or I'm praying to them, and then I'll all of a sudden feel that physical sensation, and that's how I know that they're there and that they're hearing me. And last but not least, I feel like one thing that was good to mention is that if you're having some sort of problem and you just kind of randomly get some sort of guidance in your mind, or like something just pops in your head and you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Or why did I just now think of that? Well, it could be, you know, someone from beyond trying to communicate with you, and they just kind of influence you in a way to where it just pops into your mind. So I've gone more in depth on my personal experiences with past loved ones in other videos. I will link some of those in the cards for you guys and in the description so that you can watch those if you're interested. I don't want to make this video too long, but I did mention my grandfather briefly. We've had some, as a family, we've had some experiences with his spirit being around. My grandmother as well. One of the most significant things was when my grandma passed away. It was actually the day of her funeral, I believe, when my family went to gather at my uncle's house, and we were standing outside in the parking lot, and we just look up, and all of a sudden we see like these like silvery beings, I'll just say, like way, way up in the sky, like higher than any bird would fly, like so high, like you couldn't even really tell what they were, but we all saw it. It was like this cluster of these silver, just like glistening in the sunlight, these silver figures. And they kept going up and up and up and up until we couldn't see it anymore. And we were just all like, what? So we felt like that could have been angels going back to heaven. It could have been angels taking my grandmother back to heaven. Who knows? But that was one of the most significant ones we experienced. And like I said, I haven't personally had any dreams, although I've seen a lot of cardinals. One time a couple of weeks ago, there was actually, when I was leaving work, there was a cardinal that it flew into the entryway of my apartment as I was pulling out, and it was like flying frantically, like it was trying to get my attention. And it's weird because my apartment's on an upper level, and there's not any trees like right in front of my doorway or anything. It's like there's trees on the side, but it just randomly flew into the entryway, and it was just like kind of going in circles. And I was like, okay. Hi. And like I mentioned earlier, I've definitely experienced the smell one where I'll randomly smell some kind of perfume. And like I mentioned earlier, the flickering lights I've experienced, the seeing lights in my peripheral I've experienced. And I know that was someone coming to visit me. And music definitely is a big one for me. Yeah, like I've pretty much experienced all of these except maybe the dreams one and objects being moved. I don't think I've ever experienced an object being moved and attributed that to a loved one. So the last part of this video, I just want to encourage you guys, and if you're interested in communicating with your loved ones who have passed on, here's a list of how you can do that. The first step to communicating with a past loved one is very simple, yet very hard at the same time. But it's the most important step, is just being open to it. You may not realize it, but you may be actually kind of closed off to it, especially if you're kind of afraid. So just really kind of going inside yourself and being quiet with yourself and really trying to open up to it, like truly open up to communication with that loved one. That is the biggest step. If you're really truly open to it, then it literally opens up that wall of communication to them. Otherwise it's just closed off, and they might be trying to get to you and showing you signs here and there, but they can't really communicate because you're not open to it, because they're not going to force it. Now, I think the most effective way to do this is to actually, sit quietly and just open up your mind, open up your heart, and just say to yourself that you're open to communication, but to also communicate and say either in your mind or out loud, specifically to your loved one. So like say their name and say like, I want to communicate with you. I'm open to communicating with you in any way that you can. If you can show me signs, if you can show me a dream, anything like that you're open to, just say it and communicate it to them like you're talking to them. I think that's the most effective way, because that's literally going to draw them in. And then after that, if you still have trouble, or if you don't feel like you're experiencing anything, or you haven't really heard anything, I would definitely recommend working on opening up your intuition or opening up your third eye. If you're interested in that, there's lots of YouTube videos on that you can look up on just how to open up your intuition more. Meditation can help with that, or just journaling even can help with that. Anytime that you're just kind of opening up your mind and having quiet time and just processing things, that can help you open up your intuition and open up yourself to receiving messages. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that answered some of your questions. Again, I appreciate all of you who voted. I'm gonna do that probably every once in a while, just to give you guys a choice as to what content I make next. The second topic that got the most votes was paranormal games. And now when I say paranormal games, I don't mean video games. I mean like actual physical games that you play in order to trigger a paranormal experience. So that is going to be in my next video. We're going to be talking about One Man Hide and Seek, which is, I think, one of the creepiest paranormal games. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.